everyone. I put all the dates on the calendar so that I could show you what holidays we are celebrating in April and whose birthdays we're celebrating in April. So look at this. I left the numbers on the calendar, no mystery dates right now, because I wanted to show you when all these holidays and birthdays were going to be. So here's our April birthdays. Luna's birthday is on April 3rd. Liam's birthday is on April 13th. And Scarlett's birthday is on April 21st. So we're going to say happy birthday to them. They're all turning 5. How exciting. Now, also there are actually kind of 3 holidays. One, Passover. If you are Jewish, you celebrate Passover. And your holiday starts on April 8th. If you don't celebrate Passover, you may celebrate Easter. Easter is on Sunday the 12th. A lot of us celebrate Easter. And then there's this is a very special day. This is on April 22nd. It's something called Earth Day. And on Earth Day, we celebrate everything about the earth and how important the earth is and how much we get from the earth and how much we have to take care of the earth. And that's basically what it's about. It's about how can we be kind to the earth and how can we be really good at conserving energy, meaning we're shutting the lights out because we don't want to waste energy. We shut the water off. All kinds of things. We don't litter. So we're going to be talking all about the good things that we can do. We can be helpers. We're really important. And some of you think you're too little to be helpers, but you are. You can make a big difference. So, but right now, we're going to leave the calendar as it is, and I'll put the mystery dates on later. I'll turn them over. But right now I have a story to read to you, and this story is called Underground. And why do you think I picked a story called Underground? There's more than one reason, actually. I picked this story called Underground because what are we learning about? We're learning about some kind of creature that lives underground. That's right, it's a worm. Okay, worms live underground. And then there's another reason. Do you notice what letter the title starts with? What underground? What letter does that begin with? Yes, that's the letter of the week, letter U. So I'm going to read you this story about creatures that live underground. And this story is written by Denise Fleming. And she's also the illustrator. So she writes the words and she draws the pictures. Wow. So if you look at the cover, we always look at the cover and see, what do you see on the cover of this book? Yeah, I see a little boy, and there's certain creatures that are living underground. Yes, what are they? They are insects. They are ants. Ants live underground as well. So let's see what else lives underground. You know, let's look at this picture. This is the title page. On the title page, there's often more pictures. So I see many, many signs of spring. I see, what do you see? I see it too. I see rabbits. I see bumblebees, and I see flowers, and I see some little guy digging underground. I think he's a mole underground. So let's see what else lives underground. Ooh, I see something else before I go. I spied something else. Where is it? Look over there. Yeah, there's our friend the worm, making tunnels underground. Okay. The story's called, okay. So, hey, you know what? There's a dedication. Remember I told you sometimes most of the time, an author writes a dedication. And this says, for my sister, Rochelle. Denise Fleming, the author, wrote it for her sister, Rochelle. Okay. Low down. Why is that bird looking down underground like that? What is he looking for? Yeah, we know that birds like to eat animals that live underground, especially worms. Low down, way down. He's coming. That's the robin redbreast we see in the spring. I like this book. I want you to notice all of the signs of spring that are in this book. So far I see the robin redbreast. What else do you see? I see insects and I see a ladybug. Ladybugs are in the spring, right? Oh, underground. Let's look at this. And look how beautiful this is illustrated. Now, what did the robin redbreast get underground? Uh-oh, he got a little wormy to eat for lunch. What else is underground in this picture? Yes, I see them. Carrots. Do you eat carrots? Well, that means that you eat roots. They're very healthy and they're very delicious. But here's the top of the flower of the leaves of the carrot, and down there are the roots. Lots of things are underground I see so far. Uh-oh, the creatures dig underground. Look, oh, look at the rabbit. What is, uh-oh. He's eating the flowers from somebody's garden. That's the sign of spring. They start eating from the garden. And there's a guy underground. That's a mole. A mole digs tunnels underground also. When we were talking about hibernating, didn't we learn that some animals live in burrows and holes and underground? Yes, that's also underground. What else is underground? What else? What? The animals, they dig underground and they run around underground. Look at all those ants. Do you know when you see ants and you see the little hill that they come out of in the yard, right? And you say that's an ant hill, but did you realize that they live so far underground? They have all these different tunnels, and I think those white circles might be their eggs, because ants lay eggs, don't they? Ooh. Underground past highways and byways. You don't even know it's there underground, right? I see the bulbs. Those are the bulbs of flowers that grow. And every time you walk around on top of the ground, you don't even think about what's underground. But there's all these things. Here he is coming, sticking his nose out from underground. You know, he's a groundhog. Remember the groundhog that came out to tell us whether it was going to be spring or winter? A groundhog lives underground. That's why he's called a groundhog, right? What else lives underground? In the squirmways and the wormways. Look at that. Do you see the worms underground? The pink squiggly worms. But what else lives underground? I see him. He may be a toad or a frog. Do you remember that also they hibernate? Frogs hibernate underground. Yep. Under the pond or under the swamp. What else is underground? They dig furrows. They are digging furrows and burrows, right? We call them burrows that they live in. So I see other animals. I see the mole, but what's this guy? I see him. That's a turtle. And what does she have buried underneath in her hole underground? She has her eggs. Turtles lay eggs underground. That keeps them safe, right? So on top of the ground, I see butterflies and I see an inchworm, but I see that underground, there's plenty going on underground that we don't even really know about underground, right? Something to think about. They dig around roots and bones. You see the roots? Look how far the roots go down for plants. That's why the worms are important, because the worms make tunnels, right, for the rain to get through so it could feed the thirsty roots. And bones, who buries their bones underground? I see him right there. The doggy. The dogs like to bury their bones underground and then they dig them back up again. Oh, under rocks and stones. There is a little chipmunk underground. Chipmunks live underground also. And they make tunnels, and that's where they stay, underground. They're funneling and tunneling. Oh my. What are those? Look at those. They look like some eggs, and they look like, this is something else that I had to tell you about. That also another insect. Do you see what insect that is? Remember what we talked about, how bees hibernate? Well, now you know where they hibernate. Underground. That's right. What else goes underground? Working their way through sand and clay. There's all layers of dirt and soil in the ground. Some of it is sandy and some of it is like clay. When we were kids, we would dig really deep in and find this soil that was kind of sticky, and we called it clay, and we would play with it. But there's many layers of types of dirt and soil in the ground. Low down, way down. Who's that guy? Well, I see the wiggly worm, but I also see Mr. Squirrel. Yes, what is he doing? What is he burying underground? He's hiding his nuts underground. That's right, his acorns and his nuts. We've seen him do that in our own backyard. Underground. You see all these different animals making tunnels underground. Now, why do you think so many animals live underground? Why do worms stay underground? Why do the bees go underground when they hibernate, and the frogs and the moles and the ants? Why do you think they stay underground? Think about it. We're walking around on top of the ground and we don't even know they're there. They're underground. They're hiding, right? If they're underground, then other animals and people can't hurt them, and other animals can't eat them. You know, the birds can't get the worms unless it rains and the worms come up and they're on top of the ground. They stay underground to be safe, just like the ants. They stay underground, okay? So that's why so many creatures live underground, because it keeps them safe underground. They don't get eaten. They can take care of their babies. They can lay their eggs, and they can sleep all winter underground and not be bothered, okay? So what I want you to think about when you're outside walking around on the sidewalk or on the dirt, think about what animals might be underground, living and doing all the things they need to do, and you don't even know about it. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so I have one more story to read to you, but it's not about worms anymore. We're going to keep talking about worms today, and I want you to write that story. I want you to think about, what do worms do when it rains? Do they put on their raincoat and their rain boots and their umbrella? You know, that's actually kind of funny. So I want you to think about, what do you think your worm would do? And it doesn't have to be a story about a real worm. Do you want to write a story about a fictional worm? Do you want to write fiction? Because we know that a made-up story is fiction. And we know that when we read up there Diary of a Worm, it was about a worm, but it was about a fictional worm. He was a made-up character because he wore a hat and he did things that humans do, right? He went to school and he used a pencil and all those kinds of things. If you want your worm to be a fictional worm, a made-up character, then you can use your imagination. Your worm can do anything it wants to do. You just have to write, what does my worm do when it rains, okay? And then I want you to either write it yourself if you can, or you tell a grown-up and they'll write it for you, but I want you to draw the picture. I want you to be the author and the illustrator on that piece, okay? And I want you to make very specific decisions about the pictures that you draw, okay? It's going to be a worm, but it's going to be a worm doing something that you want the worm to do. It's going to be dressed how you want the worm to be dressed. I want you to choose different colors and different shapes, and I want you to put detail in the picture, which means that you have to add a lot to it, because where is your worm? If your worm is outside in the garden, what else is in the garden, right? There's flowers in the garden. There might be a bunny in the garden. There might be a bird sitting there waiting to eat your worm. And you also learn that the worm is not the only animal that lives underground. So if your worm is coming up from under the ground, you might show the other animals underground. I don't know. You're the author and you're the illustrator, so you make the decisions, but I want you to use your imagination, and I know you're going to do a super job. And when you're done, you can send me a picture on Facebook, or you can send it to me by email, and I'd really love to see your stories, because I know you're all great authors and illustrators. Okay, so when you come back, and I'll see you next time, I'll change the calendar so we have mystery dates on the calendar, and maybe we can sing a song or two, and we'll talk more about worms and more about what we learn and what we see in the spring. Okay? Have a great day. I'll talk to you again. See you soon. Bye.